Just giving people a little bit more time to get joined on. I know some people are having trouble signing on, but I'm gonna get started at like 1:05. It's 1 right now. So at 1:05, I'm gonna start and just give people a little bit more time to join. So my name is Ti-Easha. I am the CEO of Nasty Nails Beauty Bar. I'm located in Houston, Texas. I started doing nails, my own nails in like 2010 in middle school. I went to college. Everybody used to ask me, where do you get your nails done? Where do you get your nails done? So I just kind of started doing it while I was in college, and my business just took off from there. So that's what I've been doing since. I did graduate college. I went to Florida A&M. I graduated college. After I graduated college, I knew I wanted to move back home to Texas. So I enrolled in nail school in Florida right before I moved back home. I did my nail program, and I actually am an esthetician as well. So the program I went through was like a double. So I did nail tech and esthetician program, and I graduated from there and I moved to Houston. So I'm here now. I have my own suite. It's what I do full time, just a nail tech. That's the only thing I do. So that's just a little bit about me. I've been taking clients since 2017. So that's like 6 years, y'all. I've been doing this a long time. Literally, I think I smell nails when I sleep. So that's a little bit about me. Y'all can call me T. Any questions that you have, you can drop them in the chat, or you can raise your hand or just say it out loud. It's cool. It's open. I'm not, whatever you want to do, whatever's easiest. So I'll hop right into what we're talking about today. So basically, keeping the nails lasting. What can you do to make sure your nails are lasting as it pertains to, enhancements? Also, retention of your clients as well. Last, people are going to come back. They're going to be like, how my nails lasting? But I don't want y'all to think that with retention, that means like the nails have to last forever, because refills and making sure they come back for their maintenance is necessary. Your nails should not, like, they should last a good amount of time, but you shouldn't be waiting 2 months to come get a fill. That's dangerous for the client. And then that's like it's not even safe. You're supposed to get refills. So don't think that just because your nails are not lasting, that it's not like it's a problem. Like, yeah, they're supposed to last, but you need to make sure that they're getting refills as well. So make sure that your clients are coming back. Make sure that they know the refill time. Different services have different amount of times on the refills. Generally for acrylics, you want to say 2 to 3 weeks, 3, maybe 4. A month is kind of pushing it. My clients' nails do last a month. Sometimes it also depends on what they do. Some people get long nails and do a lot, so their nails may break easier. And also lifting. So we'll get into that, but let me not get ahead of myself. But yeah, that's basically the definition of retention. We just want to make sure that their nails are lasting. And we're talking about acrylic enhancements in this webinar. So retention of your acrylic enhancements, and then making sure your clients are coming back. Why your retention may be poor. So there's a couple of different reasons. These are like the top reasons I found. When you guys signed up, I kind of made you answer 2 questions talking about retention. And these are really the most common reasons why your retention and your nails may be poor. And it basically always stems back from prep. So prep is anything you do before you apply your acrylic. That includes shaping, making sure the nails are dehydrated, all of that contributes to your retention. And that's really the number one reason. I kind of try to put them in order, but these are just the top 4. So prep is most important. Then we have application. So during your application process, there might be things that could be off that are making your retention, less than what it should be. And then we have nail health. So that is your client's nails. I know a lot of times as nail techs, we like to put the blame on us all the time. Well, I did that. When I first started out, I definitely put the blame on me, like, dang, my client's nails are lasting. But you got to think about their nail health too, especially if this is like a first-time client. That's why I always say, healthy nails, only because what is the acrylic going to stick to? What is your enhancement going to stick to if their nail health is poor? And that's not always your fault. You definitely can educate them on what to do to bring their nails back to health. But nail health is definitely important in retention, because you want to give the product something to stick to. You can't stick nails on cracked up fingers. Like, it's just not going to work, y'all. So prep, application, nail health, and then your products. Products play a role in it as well, especially if you're like, some people say don't mix products. People do it all the time in the industry. I mix products, as in like I'll mix my monomer, my liquid, with a different brand of powder. That's fine. You just have to be careful with like the interactions and stuff. I normally test stuff like that on myself first. When I started doing nails, I tested a lot of things on myself. I did my nails all the time. And I didn't even have stuff like this. I didn't have webinars. I didn't have, people was barely on YouTube posting about nails. So I tested a lot of things on myself. I was always wearing my nails, even if they were ugly, I was wearing the ugly nails. So I tested a lot of stuff on myself as far as products and different techniques that worked for me. So I think my biggest thing to like beginners is test stuff on yourself before you go and test it on other people. If you're trying out a new primer, see how it wears on you first. Also, I'll say when I was doing my own nails, my nails used to last on me way longer than they would last on like my sister or my mom. And I think that's just because of the pressure, like, especially if that's like your first person or your second person, like you're nervous about everything. So just try to take your time. Don't let people rush you, because I think that if you take your time and the nails come out better, the nails last, they're gonna be more likely to come back than if you took all that time. I mean, did you rush through their nails and the nails turn out bad and they don't want to come back. Make sure you get everything right and you'll be fine. So we're actually about to get into the demonstration, which is really like the chunk of this all. And I'm basically gonna show you guys what I do for prep, kind of step by step, show you the different tools I use, stuff that's worked for me, products. Also my Amazon list. Most of the stuff I use you can find on Amazon. If you can't find it on Amazon, I shop at local nail supply stores. We have nail supply stores in Houston. People around you, just look on Google if you find some nail supply stores. I know some have restrictions, like you can't go in if you're licensed, if you're unlicensed, but I definitely was going in, just check around in your stores. But I definitely will leave my Amazon list. I'm actually going to drop it in the chat so that if you guys want to shop any of the stuff that I talk about, you'll be able to do that. For those who want to shop any of the stuff I'm about to talk about, and I'm actually going to switch over. I'm on my laptop, but I'm going to switch over to my phone so y'all can see I have everything set up. When you start with prepping the nails, you always want to make sure their nails are clean. That's the first thing. So especially during times like this, I always have my clients go wash their hands first. After I have them wash their hands, I'll even disinfect again. So I always have a little thing of alcohol at my desk. You can use alcohol. And also in my Amazon list, I have something called Young Nails Swipe. Young Nails, this is the brand. And it's blue. And it's like a disinfectant slash dehydrator as well. It's in the Amazon list. Or you can use regular alcohol. This is just regular 75% alcohol. Is it 75? 70%, my bad. 70% alcohol. So the first thing I do, I'm gonna use me because like I said, I always practice on me first. And I think that's the easiest way, especially when you're learning how to cut cuticle, because you can tell if it's hurting, you can tell if you're going too deep, you can tell if you're going too far. So start on me, I'll spray their hands, both hands. And I go on with the Cuticle Pusher. I have two here because I wanted to show you guys the different ones. Sometimes I use different clients, I'll use different ones depending on how their cuticles look. So different clients will need more work in the cuticle area than others. People that get manicures more often might have more cuticle growth. So you might need to do a little bit more work. You just have to pay attention, but the process is the same. So here's one version of the Cuticle Pusher. I'll have a big end and I have a small end. And then I have one here that has a small end, but on the other side, it has a tool that I kind of use to dig. So I'll dig around this area with it if it's like a lot of buildup. Especially this is helpful for toes as well if you guys ever get into acrylic toes. As far as prep though, for enhancements on the nails, it kind of goes the same if you're doing gel polish, if you're doing dip, if you're doing any enhancement where you're adding a product onto the nail. This is kind of the same process. Well, mostly the same process. So the first thing I'll do is push back the cuticle. So we'll do it on my thumb here. So after I spray it, I'll push back my cuticle area. Y'all let me know if I get out of frame, but some light. So I always push back the cuticle. And I would do that to all 10 nails. After I do that, I'll go in with my sanding band and my mandrel. The sanding bands I use are these Pro sanding bands, the Medicools. You can find them at Sally's. I think I got these from Sally's. Any nail supply store as well will have sanding bands. And I always use fine grit or medium grit. Most of the time I'm using fine grit. If I'm using medium grit, it's because maybe they have like a little bit of gel polish. I feel like I can get off when I'm prepping versus than having to soak it off. I can just file over it real quick and it should be fine and I'll be able to get it off. But most of the time I'm using fine grit. So I'll stick my band on. And for prep, your drill, okay, I'm showing you guys the way I do it. I do recommend using a drill for prep just because of the detail that you can get with the drill versus your hand file. You can't get into these little corners, which are very important with lifting with the hand file. You can try, but it's more detail when you're using your drill. So even if you only use your drill for prep and because you're scared of it in other areas, that's fine. But I definitely recommend you use a drill. The drill I'm using is Melody Susie. I have this version that sticks here, but I also have the portable version as well. Both of them work fine. Both of them are on my Amazon list as well as other drills that I have used are on my Amazon list. This is the other version. So on this version, the reason why I'm bringing it up is because on this version, you'll be able to tell. So I literally just cut my drill on. For prep, I'm literally just cutting my drill on. I'm not going any faster than that. Whatever it is, when I cut it on, that's what I'm going. So 3, that's the lowest it'll go. That's what I'm doing my prep on. I'm not going any faster than that. You don't want to damage the natural nail. It's extremely important. You don't want to cause any additional damage if they already have any. So I only go slow. It's 3 RPM. And for my other drill, I literally just turn it on. It's kind of harder to tell because it's like a dial and doesn't have the digital, but I just turn it on till it starts moving, and that's as far as I'll go. So I always hold this skin back when I'm doing the client's nails. So if it was like this, I would be holding here, and you go around. And the goal of this is to get the shine off the natural nail. And also, if you're adding tips, you want to make sure that the tip is going to stick when you apply your glue. So you want to make sure it's no shine on the nail. You're not going too hard, and you're never angling your file down like this. You want to stay parallel to the nail bed. So let's go over the area. Oh, my nails look rough. Okay. Then I'll dust off. So I'll do that to all 10 nails on both hands. I'll dust off and I go in with my next bits. So these bits are super important, y'all. When I learned about these bits, I swear this improved my retention so much. Like, it helped me in ways you'll never understand. Just try it, I promise. Okay, so they're cuticle ball bits. They come in different sizes, different shapes. Well, not different shapes, but different sizes for the most part. It doesn't really matter which size you use. Some people will have deeper sidewalls. You might want to use a bigger one, or they might have more that you see. You might want to use a different one for that. So they're cuticle ball bits. And then I've also used cuticle bits that are like this, more so like a cylinder, but it still has that ball type tip at the top. These work good, but for the most part, I'm sticking to my ball bits. These are what I use on a daily. Every client, I'm using a ball bit, especially to get in those corners. That's gonna help extremely with lifting, making sure that area is prepped before you apply your acrylic. So find my ball bit next. So after I go in and push back the cuticles, I'm removing the shine on all the nails. After I remove shine, going in with my ball bit on all the nails. And this is important. So we'll go forward first. So on your drill, I'll have a whole nother webinar breaking down the drill. You guys wanted this one first, so we'll start with this one. But on the drill, if you guys didn't know, there's an F and an R. Some say polarity. That tells you forward and reverse. The only time I ever use forward and reverse is during this step. and you guys are going to see why. So I'll go forward first, start from one side, let me see, and we're going here, and you're gonna see how this is like getting rid of all that skin that we left behind. It's also gonna create like a pocket in that area. You're not going too hard. It shouldn't hurt. Like if you're doing it on the skin, this should not be hurting. It's ashy, but it should not be hurting. Okay, so you'll go around that. Then I'll flip my drill to reverse. Okay, the question was, so it's okay to file off any leftover gel polish from the natural nail with the e-file during prep. Yes, it's okay if it's only a small amount. You don't want to be filing off like they have a full gel manicure on. You want to go ahead and do a soak off. But if they have like, some people will come in with like little bits of pieces of acrylic or a little bit of gel just stick on there. I'll go ahead and get that with my e-file to save time. It's perfectly okay. Just get off the product and, you know, keep going. Okay, so now I flipped my ball bit to reverse and I'm going the opposite way. So turn it back on just enough. So I went this way this time. I mean, the first time. This time I'm going to go the opposite way. And you'll feel your drill. Like if I try to go this way, it's going to slip. So go the other way. Okay, so hold back that skin, remember? Go the other way. And I do that on all 10 nails, then dust. And you'll see the kind of pocket it creates. And that's gonna help you when you get ready to cut or trim their cuticle because you see the dead skin that's up. Cuticle is dead skin. You don't wanna cut any live skin when you cut cuticle because that's how you get the hangnails or when their skin starts to peel back. That's what you get from that. So don't cut any live skin. You wanna cut just enough, and that's what this helps me to see. I only cut the skin that's sticking up. If the skin's not sticking up, I'm not digging it up to go cut it. I'm only cutting the skin that's sticking up at me when I'm doing cuticle. I use cuticle nippers. You can also use cuticle scissors. I know when I first started out, I was using the cuticle scissors because they feel a little bit safer when you're first starting out. And you also can practice on an orange. So grab like an orange and try to get zest. If you're getting zest, if you're seeing like orange, you're going too deep. If you're getting zest, you're perfect. But the best way I say to practice with cuticle nippers is to do it on yourself because you can feel it. You can feel if you're going too deep. You can see if you're cutting yourself, and you rather cut yourself than somebody else. So, and you want to lead with the tip. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So I lead with the tip. Start here. See that piece. Okay. Now, when you're doing clients, I want to show you guys what I use. So when I have a client, I use an armrest. This is so important as well, especially during application. I'm going to show you guys why in a little second, but I use an armrest because you're able to hold their nail down towards you. Gravity is your biggest friend when you do nails, and you can see way better whenever the nail is held down. Dang, did I cut myself? I cut myself a little bit, y'all. See why it's important to do it on you and not somebody else. Also, make sure you're using sharp nippers when you cut cuticle because if you try to do it with dull, that's also what can cause you to cut them as well because you're trying to nip and it's not nipping what you need to get. So you might overcut. Just make sure your nippers are sharp. And you see, mine were very sharp. Hold on. Okay. So after I nip, that's pretty much the end of my prep as far as with materials, like with my utensils, sorry. The next thing I'll do is clean off all the nails. This is super important. So, well, I'm sorry, let me backtrack. I won't clean up, I'll dust off all the nails, but I won't do the clean with this yet. I'll apply my tips. If you were going in with gel polish, you could go ahead and clean off all the nails. If you were doing a dip, you could go ahead and clean off all the nails. But if you're gonna apply an artificial tip to the nail, this is the point where I will just dust and then apply the tip. Oh my gosh, my finger. No, stop. I'm gonna show you on a different finger. Okay. If you do cause somebody to bleed though, quickest way to get it to stop is apply pressure. So you wanna spray with alcohol. I know it's gonna hurt, I know, but you gotta disinfect the area. So spray with alcohol or use an alcohol wipe. I always keep alcohol wipes handy. Apply pressure. And then, you know, depending on how deep it is or whatever, you can go ahead and bandage it up, or it should stop after that though. Just apply pressure for a couple of seconds after you clean it off and you should be good. I'm gonna go ahead and just put a Band-Aid because I don't want to be leaking everywhere. I'm like trying to show y'all what's going on. Okay. So I'm gonna show y'all on my index finger. I'll just run through the steps really quickly again. Spray. Push back. Going with your sanding band. Should be no shine left on their natural nail. Like I said, so that's why you keep it low. So if you need to go over an area, it's not damaging their nail. So no shine. Then we go in with the ball bit. We go forward first and then reverse. Now I'm about to go reverse. So I would do forward on all 10 nails and then I would switch over to reverse. So you're not having to keep stopping while you're doing their nails. So it's just the process. Yes, you definitely need to get one of these, Emily. I'm telling you, it's gonna change your life. And they even have some that come in like this pack right here. It came with so many different types of cuticle bits. And you can try out all of them and see which one works best for you. I don't really use this big one right here, but these smaller ones I've tried before. I just like the ball bit the best, but some people even like this oval roundish looking one. Yeah. Shein, yeah, I heard about Shein. They have a lot of good nail supplies. I haven't even checked them out, but somebody told me, I'm like, girl, I thought they sold clothes. Okay, so yes, after I went forward and reverse, now y'all see that little lip of skin that's sticking up? Hopefully you can see, yeah, y'all see that. That's where I'll cut, just the stuff that's sticking up at me. So over here, I don't need to really cut. I just need this gone. Oh, the 5-in-1 bit, yes. And let me tell you about the 5-in-1. We're gonna talk about that in a second too. Cut this, hold on. So, clean, nothing there now. All right, so like I said, if you were gonna do like a gel polish, this is whenever you would cleanse all the nails. So I'll spray again with alcohol. You can use a manicure brush. And when you dust away from the nail. Don't dust onto the nail because we're trying to get the dust off. So you wanna go away from your nail. So then you would apply your dehydrator, your primer, and go in with your gel polish or your dip. But since I'm applying a tip, because I want to show y'all how to apply a tip, because that goes into prep as well. If you're doing acrylics, applying a tip, that's important too. You want to make sure there's no bubbles in the glue whenever you apply your tip. So, and you also want to make sure your tip is sidewall to sidewall. Go in with the tip. Let me see. I'm probably like a 4 here. Any tips for applying a tip on a crooked nail plate? Okay, yes, I do have some tips for that. So let me see. My middle finger is kind of crooked. Y'all can see it's kind of going that way a little bit. I always look from the center of their finger, not the nail. So like basically with the way their finger is going, that's the way I'm gonna apply. So since my nail's curving like that, I wouldn't apply with the direction of the nail. I'm gonna apply with the direction of the way my finger is going. So I'll apply a little bit to this, towards that way. If you're looking at it from this perspective, another way, I guess to deal with crooked fingers is to only apply a little bit of glue whenever you first apply the tip so that you can turn their hand around your view and look at it to make sure it's straight and see their view as well. So I'm always turning my client's hand around, like even throughout the whole process, throughout shaping, all that, I'm turning my client's hands around. I hate crooked nails, so I'm always making sure they're straight. So the biggest thing I say is look from the center of their nail. Yeah, turn their hand around, apply the nail. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Turn it around and you can see a lot better. I'll apply like a little bit of glue and then turn it around so I can still adjust it. It's not all the way dry. So you only apply a little bit so that you can still make adjustments. You don't need a lot of nail glue. Do not use a lot of nail glue. Okay, so you want to make sure your tip fits sidewall to sidewall. You can kind of see here it is. If it doesn't though, I file and make sure their tips fit. At the shops, y'all, they do not be making sure the tips fit. You gotta make sure their tips fit sidewall to sidewall. You don't want the tip to be under their skin. So I'll file a little bit. I'm left-handed, by the way. I wanted to make that enough clear. I am left-handed. Okay, so you can see better. The tip placement is important too. You don't want your tip all the way up here. You don't want it half of the nail. Some nail tips come half cover, so you will apply it a little bit higher. But for the most part, you want to keep it really low on the nail. You don't want it too low, but you don't want it to be covering the nail. We want acrylic covering the nail. Okay, perfect. Y'all left these, so y'all can see what I'm doing. Y'all probably could understand. Okay, so there's my tip. The glue I like to use is KDS. Why I say is because KDS dries very fast. Not only does it dry fast, I just feel like it's super strong. Some glues have like an elasticity to them. They'll be like runny or like gummy. I like to use KDS, but this one also I like to use is ASP. You can find this at Sally's, just regular nail glue. Some people use brush-on glue. You can use that too. I just like to use this. It's easier for me. I put a dot right in the middle of their nail. And when you apply a tip, you go a rocking motion. So you'll go up to down. So up, then all the way down. So you see how it's not glued all the way over here? And then the glue didn't get all the way over there. So hold on 1 second. That would be helpful if I wanted to be able to change their nails. So say I glued it on crooked. Oh, I didn't put a lot of glue, so I'll be able to redo it. So let me put a little bit more, just a little. And do up, then down. Okay, right here, I missed a little bit, so I'll just add a dot, and that'll be okay. Okay, so after I applied the tip, let me see, I'm actually gonna do my nails after this, so don't want my nails long. I'll probably do them short, okay. We'll cut. I use tip cutters, or you can use these, I think they're called like sewing shears. I'm not really sure, honestly, the correct name, but they're like the miniature scissors. You can use these to cut tips too. You can use your tip cutter or even a straight edge clipper. So let me cut a little bit straighter here. All right, I'll file. When you file a client's nails, hold the tip. You don't want to just be filing like this, because one, it could still pop off. It might not all the way be dry. Two, that's causing unnecessary strain on their natural nail. You want to hold while you file. The key, I say, for filing and shaping is to keep your nail file straight at all times. Keep it straight up against the nail. See how my nail file is straight? It's not curved. I'm not doing this. You want to keep it straight up against the nail, depending on what shape you're doing, but you're always going to try to keep it straight. Even for this part, shaping, always turn your client's hand around to look. Make sure you can see what it looks like from their view, because that's all they're going to look at if it's crooked and complain about. Let's see. Is that what the forward and reverse on the drill is for? Left versus right hand users? Yes and no. So you'll see, like for me, left-handed, I think I start in reverse. So if you're right-handed, you'll start forward and then you go backwards for the opposite way when you're doing the your cuticle ball bit. But yes, that is what the R and the L is for, or the polarity is for. Okay, so I hope I answered your question. After I file, you can use your drill for this part, or you can use your hand file. I normally just go with my hand file because it's easier and I'm already have my hand file in my hand. So after I file each nail, I'll go ahead and blend in the nail tip. You don't want to blend too much on their natural nail. You want to keep it on the artificial nail. So blend this way. Oh, the grit file I'm using, this is 100/80, I believe. They don't even say, because I dispose of my files after every person. So disposable ones normally don't even have the grit on them, but I believe this is 100/80 or 180. Nah, it's 100/80. Yeah, 100/80. Okay. I blend. And that's cool. It only takes me a quick second to blend too because of the file's grit. That's why it's important you don't file on their natural nail. Just kind of stick to that artificial nail. Okay. So y'all can see. That's straight. All right, after I do that, that will conclude my prep. Like, I'll spray alcohol again. Like I said, dust away from their nails. So all 10, let that dry for a second, and I'll get into my primer. So my alcohol acts as my dehydrator. The next step would be to prime the nail. So these are the two primers that are my most favorite. I like the C&D. This is C&D Nail Prime, acid-free. And I think I found this at the nail supply. You can get this at the nail supply, but they also have it on Amazon as well. But my top primer, this is my baby right here, Young Nails Protein Bond. This is literally the best primer ever, y'all. It's this little bottle is $20, but it's the best primer. I promise you. You're not gonna go wrong with Young Nails. So I'll apply this. Okay. And I apply 2 coats. Okay, so with primer, Young Nails stopped working for me. Now I use Valentino's Bond. I do use the prepackaged nail utensils that came in the pack. So prepackaged nail utensils, no, I don't use that. Are you talking about like the orange wood stick? that type of thing, because I don't use those, but I do pre-package before, like, so I'll pre-package in these disinfectant packages just to keep them separate. But I don't use the ones that come already pre-packed, if that makes sense. But I package my own. So at the end of the day, I wash all my utensils and package them in here to keep them separate. Young Nailz not working for me. Valentino. I've heard good things about Valentino as well. I've actually never tried their bond. I love their powders, but I've never tried their prep and bond. But I've heard good things about it. Definitely like Young Nailz though. Okay, so that's what I was trying to say. So for prep, I'll definitely wipe off all the nails with the manicure brush. And I only prime one hand at a time because people like to play in their hair. Some people might have sweaters, they get lint on the other hand. So it defeats your purpose to apply primer to both hands because this hand, you're probably gonna have to redo it all over. So I only apply primer to one hand at a time and I apply 2 coats. I apply the first coat, then we probably discuss like, oh girl, you like this color, da 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 da. We get everything in order for the design. And then I'll apply the second coat of primer whenever it's time for me to actually apply the acrylic. So I'll apply another coat. And then it's time for your acrylic. So the brush I use, oh, it's a little dingy, y'all, my bad. But this brush been going with me for forever. It's the Panna brush. It's in my Amazon link as well. And it's a size 10. I use a size 10. Definitely can go up. So the bigger the size, my bad. Yeah, the bigger the size, the bigger the brush. So I use a size 10. I recommend for beginners an 8, but that's what I recommend to my students at least. But some people start off bigger. They like the bigger brush. I think a 10 is a good medium for me. Another thing with lifting and retention, you want to make sure that there's nothing in your brush before you get started or while you're working. Keep your brush clean because that can create product buildup. It just could help. It could mess up your application. It's just so many things. So keep your brush clean. And then I don't know if you guys can see my brush is pinched. So that helps with your cuticle application. When I get ready to go into the cuticle, then my brush is flat. It just lines up so perfectly right there and I can just inch it up. So I pinch my brush with pliers. Every new brush I get. I pinch them with pliers. And I'll just pinch right here. The liquid I'm using today is No Lift Monomer. Just in case anybody wants to know, it's the No Lift Monomer. I like their monomer. I like Mia's Secret monomer. What other monomer do I like? I like Valentino's monomer. I like Young Nailz monomer. How do you keep the nail from being webbed at the tip when it's that length? Like this shape you just applied. When you say web, do you mean like a wideness? Some people, okay, so yeah, some people like the web and some people don't. If you want to get it more narrow, I think the best, yes, okay. The best you're talking about, I know you see it's right here too. The best way to do that is keep your your nail file flat against the nail and get rid of that curve. It's kind of like an arch. So when I go this way too, you can kind of see it gets straighter. Also, when I'm filing tips, I like to go away and not like back and forth. I like to go one direction, down, away from the nail. You wouldn't want to do this after you already prepped, but I'm just showing you. Only because the dust could get back onto your primer. So yeah, you kind of just want to keep the file flat against the nail to prevent that. And then narrow in your sidewalls as well. Even, so say this part is not webbed, but you see right here, I'm trying to make sure I can see. I kind of just file that edge versus the whole thing. I'm just filing where I see it bowing out. You can see one side is, let me see that one side is straight. versus the other side. This short nails are a little tricky. And also, I wouldn't be so particular. Like you can make sure it's straight during this process, but another way that I get it back, crisp, is after I apply the acrylic. It's also easier to do it that way versus keep reshaping your tip and all that. After the acrylic's applied, it's kind of easier to reshape and get it how you want it. But I hope I answered your question. Okay. Yeah, so the monomer I'm using today is the no lift monomer. You can find that at Sally's, but I like Mia's Secret, I like Valentino, I like Young Nails monomer. The only monomers I really don't like is like the ones that they sell at the nail supply stores that have like no name. Like I don't even know where y'all got that from. Did y'all dilute it? What is in this? So that's the monomer I'm using. The brush is a size 10. It's in my Amazon list as well. I'm gonna try to miss anything before I show you. Just clean this up. The paper towels I like to use. I like to use y'all seen the blue paper towels you get at AutoZone, or like you can get them at Walmart too in the auto section. I like to use those, but the regular paper towels work well. You just have to use a little bit more so your paper towel don't get all soggy. You want it to be absorbent. You want it to not be moving around too. So I like to use like a good amount of paper towels. I'll be going through paper towels, y'all. But we gotta do what we gotta do. So let me close this up. So the biggest tip I have for applying acrylic is gravity. Let gravity do the work. Especially if you have an arm stand, let gravity do the work. Have your client angle their hand over. So let me see here. And it's down like this. Gravity is going to do the work for you. So I'm going to use this classic nude by Valentino. Always stir up your powders before you use them. Only reason I say stir up your powders is because sometimes you get chunks in there. When you try to apply, you might pick up that chunk. So you want to be able to see like, oh, do I have any chunks from last time I used this? I stir it, make sure everything's good to go. Okay. Make sure I'm in frame. First, you also want to make sure you get out the air bubbles in your brush. So you'll see before I start any set, or if I'm switching colors, anything like that, I always get the air bubbles out of my brush. See, there's no bubbles coming up when I'm doing this. Okay. For shorter nails, I kind of try to stick to 2 beads. The first bead will kind of be like halfway towards the free edge. See how I let that fall, and now gravity's bringing it down. I'm not even touching it. I'm moving it barely, but it's coming all the way towards the free edge without me really doing any work because I'm angling my nail down. If some does come off the free edge, that's fine. The free edge is not our concern. We're worried about what's on the nail. The free edge, you can always fix that later. You can go back and file that off. If some goes underneath, you can go back and get that later. I normally use the belly of my brush to kind of tap that excess that's coming off. And then I'll either use my finger to get it or, something else. But that, and then I always go back and correct my sidewall. That's how you keep your shape. I'm still in frame, right? Okay, cool. And I use that belly to get that free edge. Still here. So that was my first bead. Short nails, so especially this length, it's really no apex, y'all. I might have an apex, like a slight apex, but for short nails, you want to keep them thin. You don't want to have big chunky marshmallows for short nails. So I'll have a thin apex, but it will not be as dramatic as if I were to be building an extendo. Okay, so that'll be my first bead. Also, the key to no lifting is to make sure your beads, it's not so high up, like it's flush. Y'all can see how my bead is flush when I first put that on. It's flush with the area. So cuticle application now, this is the most important with lifting. Small beads that you can control. You don't want to put it directly at the cuticle line because that's just going to flood all this area and make it so much harder for you to clean up. You want to put it a little bit back and inch it up gently with the belly of your brush. So get the bubbles out again. I'm going to grab a small bead. Never dunk your brush in straight up and down like this. I kind of always go in at an angle. That's too small. If you don't like the bead, wipe it off. I never condone going in with beads you don't like. If you don't like it, wipe it off. I know you might be like, oh, I'm wasting product, but if you don't like it, you don't feel like you can work with it, it's too watery, it's too runny, it's too dry, wipe it off. This is a good size. So I put it right above where I just put that little one, but not at the cuticle. And now I'm set it down and I'm inching it up to that skin cuticle area. The rest you pull down. I like to tell my students side, side, middle. So I did that side, then I went over here and I got that side to make sure, and then I'm going to the middle to even everything out. And that's really it, especially for short nails. I don't like to put too much, like I said. You want to get as close as to the cuticle area as possible. However, I know when I first started, I was going a little bit like they almost borderline look like they might need a fill because I just didn't want to flood. You rather have that little space than be all up in the cuticle area because that's like a really big factor with lifting. Once that acrylic hits that skin, it's so much more likely to lift. So I just like to keep everything, a little bit less, if anything. And also, it's like a little dip right here. Let me see. I'll go back and add. After this dries, I'm going to show you how I reshape and then seal the cuticle area. Okay. Okay. Any questions on what I just did? Could y'all see? No? Okay, cool. All right. I always check to see if my nails are dry by using my file. Normally that would be dry like by the time I finish the other hand, but if it was something like I had just a quick fix or something, you could check by tapping your file. It sounds hollow, it's ready to be filed. If not, see that? Not ready. So we wait. Getting there. Okay, let's see. Still soft. Temperature affects acrylic too. In my room, it's kind of cold. So that might be another reason, but temperature definitely affects acrylic. It's hotter, your acrylic will set faster. it's cold, it'll take a little bit longer. So let's go ahead, reshape those sidewalls. So what I always start with is reshaping the sides. Any tips on keeping monomer warm? Not necessarily keeping it warm. You'll just have to adjust. So say it's cold in the room and you notice your acrylics they're not drying as fast. They're super runny. Use less liquid. I'll say maybe have a heater in your room. Like you can have like a little space heater that can help with temperature as well, or open a window if it's not too cold, of course. That might help. I know I had to, like, when I first moved into my suite, the way that the air conditioner is set up, I had to make adjustments as well because my acrylic was taking forever to set. It was right underneath the vent. So I always go on with the sidewalls. But did that answer your question? Nadia, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Sidewalls. Yeah, I live in NYC. It's very cold. Okay, yeah, so that definitely plays a role. So I would say a little space heater maybe in your area might help navigate the temperature, or use less liquid so it's not running everywhere. Okay, yes, thank you, answer. Okay, and then I'll redo my free edge, keeping it flat against the nail. See. Okay. After that is whenever we will go in and seal the cuticle. So it's 2 bits I normally use. You can see at the top, oops, sorry, hold on. They're carbide bits. Carbide means I get like metal. And then I have a medium one, you see here, kind of, and then I have a fine one. Either or I'll use, say I'm doing something that has a lot of bulk, or I notice my nails are thick, I got them on too thick, I might use the medium one. I also like to use these for my toe enhancements. Then they have this, a 5-in-1 bit, so it's tapered. Oh, sorry. Well, sorry. Okay, so it's tapered at the tip, and that helps you get in that area a lot better than the one that's just the cylinder. So I like to use this one mostly on my acrylics. This one I might use on the toes or to remove a lot of bulk, the medium. And both these are on my Amazon list as well, but I'll show you how I use this 5-in-1 to seal the cuticle. The key with cuticle application is to keep cuticle application thin. If your application at the cuticle is too thick, that's what's gonna cause lifting, product buildup is gonna cause lifting. It's too thick in that area. You wanna keep the cuticle area thin so nothing can even get under there. There's no way for it to even lift. It's looking seamless, like it's growing out of their skin. That's a key thing. I know when I first started out, my cuticle area was real bumpy. Keep that area flush so that it just looks like it's coming out naturally. So for this, I kind of turn it on and gauge. It depends on what I need to do. If I need to turn it up or turn it down, depending on how I applied my acrylic. The better you apply, the less you have to use your drill. Even in the end, you could use your file and go through. But for sealing the cuticle purposes, I use the drill to get in that area. So turn it up just a little bit. I always also correct my C curve. So I'll go under here, and if there's any acrylic, oh, it's in reverse. I felt it. To clean up if I left any acrylic under there. I might even hit the sidewalls if I see something. Okay, but for this part, the most part, you want to keep, remember, never dig. Kind of go around that area. Am I in frame? Yep. What do you mean when you say seal the cuticle? Does that mean to make it look flush? Yes, that's exactly what I mean. Sealing the cuticle is making it look flush, like it's the nail is growing out of their skin. And sealing also means so that nothing could get underneath there, no water if they wash their hands a lot. But it's basically making it look flush. making sure none of the acrylic is attached to their skin. You want no acrylic on skin. Acrylic doesn't stick to skin, and that's why you get lifting. So I'll go around that area, and I'm making it thin up there. Not too thin. You don't want to, lose your product. But I'm definitely going around and making sure I seal that area. No skin. And then I'll go over the whole nail after I get that down. Sometimes I'll go in, like when I reshaped, I would do what I'm doing right now over the whole nail with my hand file. You do that as well, but for the cuticle area, I always use my drill. But as far as like removing lumps and making sure everything is fine, you can use your hand file if you don't feel comfortable. Y'all see how flush it is? That is what prevents lifting. Okay. Thus, next thing I would do is buff. Depending on if you were doing design, all that, you would do that next, but after you buff. Yes, these are in my Amazon list too. These are buffers. They're disposable. I dispose of these after every client as well. It comes with so many, girl. It comes with like, I think 500 of these for like $7. So I use these and just throw it away. Okay. Dust it off. And then this is when I would have my clients go wash their hands. But for this purpose, I just want to show y'all. It look like it coming out of my skin. Y'all look like my real nail. Filing time, yes. The faster, not even the faster you learn how to lay acrylic. It's more so the smoother you learn how to lay acrylic, it definitely helps with filing. Sometimes I barely even have to go in and file after. I'm really just sealing that cuticle, buffing real good. I might touch over a few areas, but yes, it definitely helps with filing time. Okay, so that was the end of my demonstration. I'm gonna go ahead and switch back to my laptop real quick. I know I'm running over time. I'm gonna switch back to my laptop. It's just a couple things I wanted to go over and then we'll end the call. I'm so sorry, y'all. I cut off the whole freaking meeting. Bro, I'm a joke. I'm sorry. I'm trying to see if people will get back on. I didn't even know if the link. Yes, girl, I ended the whole meeting. I'm so sorry. I was like, bro. I tried to switch over and hit end meeting on my phone and it ended the whole entire meeting because I guess I was the host on my phone. Oh my gosh. My bad, y'all, my bad. Okay, I just wanted to go over the last couple of things with my Amazon list. And then I'm hosting a workshop. That's why I wanted everybody to join because I'm hosting a workshop. It's gonna be longer than this one. So it's gonna be like 2-3 hours. It's not this Sunday, but it's next Sunday. If you sign up during the webinar, the webinar now, you'll get 10% off. It's $50. Can you make the workshop flyer larger? You can't see it. Let me see. Let me get out of the way so I can screenshot. Can you see? Oh, you can see it now, right? Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna post all the information on my page since nobody's here to even know about it, but I am doing a workshop. The workshop will be from 1 to 3. I haven't even decided. I might make it longer, honestly, but it's only $50. We'll go over everything into way more detail. I kind of gave y'all like a quick rundown of everything just so we could talk about prep, but the workshop will be like acrylic technique, different products I use as far as like acrylics that I feel are good, doing natural. Girl, I'm tired of this on my hand. I'm ready to cut it off. I'm about to do a cutting it off webinar. What I'm about to do. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna be having the workshop. So if you are interested, can sign up. 10% off until Tuesday, or the next 24 hours. So, and not next Sunday, or the week after that. And then if you have any questions, just let me know. But that's the end. That was the webinar, girl. Thank you so much for tuning in. And leave a review, because I'm gonna put like a little thing on my Instagram. So leave a review if you learned something. Thank you, girl. All right.